we'll let it ride.
There he is.
A gym to view.
Hello.
Yo.
Hello. All right. I'll
Hey,
let
we
you
have the
guys
same
learn.
background for our thing. That actually works
Recording
out really
in
well.
progress.
Oh, do you? Oh, I mean, you want me to change it or?
No,
What do
no,
we
no.
got
Look,
there?
look. Look on the
You
stream.
also have
It
the.
actually looks sick.
Oh, on the stream. Okay.
Yeah.
Stream.
The camera that I'm using is really scuffy, but nobody can see this one. It's only you guys, so.
Oh, okay.
But no, the actual stream
Gotcha.
cam looks great. Looks
Okay. All right. Oh, wait. We're on live. We're talking.
good. Oh, we're in. We're two.
Yeah, you're in.
We're
He's
in.
streaming.
Okay. All right. Hey, everybody.
All right, Linksy, can
All
I?
right.
Yeah, we gotta boot you out of here so we can see Lord Holinka.
Let me. Yeah, when I mute, you can't hear me.
Okay, but my screen capture region is only showing Holinka. How do I pin him? Ah, there we go. I don't want to see nobody but you, big fella. Are you
All
frozen?
right.
Okay, there you go.
No, I'm not frozen. I was just looking at. I'm not going to be able to look at Twitch chat. I don't know how.
No, you should not do that. Like
You streamers do it.
Don't look at chat. You can look at it later, but not now. This is
Yeah.
not the time. Trust
that's
me.
Fine. That's fine.
They're all very positive and very excited, but it's
Great.
like, when do we get solo queue rated Ashran? Like you just you don't need to worry about that. All
What
right.
an idea.
Yeah, there you go. Write that one down. All right, so this is a pretty big announcement today. Pretty exciting stuff. I feel like getting started with it's like a blanket open thing, but like, is there anything particularly about PvP that you wanted to come here and talk about before we sort of get into specifics?
I think some things that I'm sure we'll talk about will be great. Talking about solo queue, talking about gear, talking about changes to classes, talents, how that'll affect PvP. Those sorts of topics, I'm sure, are what people primarily want to hear about, and I'm prepared to talk about all of them. So
great, let's do it. People are spamming about solo queue, so
yeah,
the implementation,
sure.
the implementation of solo queue so far with the shuffle of being like a brawl. People seem to have been digging that. What's been like the sort of internal feedback that you guys have gotten?
I mean, a lot of relief that it's gone well.
Yeah,
because it's kind of a wacky idea. We thought when we came up with it a couple of months ago, it was like, what do we think about, just changing the teams? Because I think we wrote a blog about this, and it was a lot about concern about the matchmaker. I've watched other games do solo queue. Rated solo queue over the years, and I feel like there's always this focus on the matchmaker, and that'll likely probably still happen.
Right.
Why am I fighting this rated person? Why was this low MMR person in here?
Yeah.
But I think we have this added factor of compositions and specs. You come in as the spec you're in, and that's all. You don't get to pick a different class.
Yeah.
Spec or any of that. So this stream distracts me. And so that's that was an issue, and so the solution we thought was let's do this shuffling, and had concerns about the length of matches, had concerns about whether people would embrace it or whether people would be like, I hate all these goofy compositions I'm playing, right? But I think it's a fresh take on things. I think we've been playing 2v2, 3v3 for a long time now. When people have this control over the comp they're playing, that they will or will not play, in a way that meta can get pretty, I don't want to say stagnant, but
it can be
without change. It's like you're seeing those classes, and so solo queue, solo shuffle, it's like it's all forced upon you, right? Like you have to react to these different compositions, and so I think it's been a fresh take for people. So very, very excited about that. I mean, the team that worked on it was a significant effort. There were the way we do arenas had to be rewritten, just like going into a rewritten had to be re-implemented, and so I'm really proud, honestly, of the job they did. But yeah, the goal here was always to come up with a rated solo queue system. That's
awesome.
Our plan. That's our plan. That's what we're working towards. You never know what's going to go right, what's going to go wrong. But the brawl was definitely about finding the problems before your rating was on the line. If there are we got to figure out the lever penalties. We got to figure out matchmaking, rewards, things like that. And how do we get more healers in the queue?
Right.
And so better to try and have those problems in this unrated environment than a very high stakes one that I think people will they'll really care about their solo rated queue. So
Yeah.
excited about that. Hoping we can do things where people are really looking to say like who's the best sub rogue,
Yeah.
and not just like who's the best, he or she was playing with RMP all the time.
Right.
No, it's the
Yeah. It's
best sub
can you
rogue.
carry your team in any environment? Yeah.
Yep, and adapt. So yeah, I've been very pleased with it. Going to be taking it forward and taking it to the next step.
Awesome. So just the final thought that I coalesce is rated solo queue is part of the plan.
Yep,
Very cool. All right. So we also mentioned another thing that's always a hot topic for WoW. There's like levels in which like some seasons gear is super important, some seasons gear is not as important. There's all kinds of different ways of acquiring and upgrading your gear. So with Shadowlands, we've seen gear acquisition primarily through like at least conquest gear, the best gear in the game. That's really all I'm like super worried about is you get your best gear from the game at playing arena at a high level or RBGs at a high level, and then upgrading with honor if you need to. How do you guys like that system compared to some that's like, we've heard about like WoD, which is like maybe the most simple, where it's like you just get this gear and it scales up in arena, and that's just is what it is. Everybody at the same rating gets the same thing. How does that feel? And I guess the third one to chime into was with like Legion, where it's like actually just all normalized. Yeah. Except for eye level.
Yeah, I feel like we've tried everything.
Yeah.
when I talk about this topic, I'm like, I've talked with other designers at other studios, other games that have PvE, PvP elements, and I'm like, oh man, we've tried it all.
Yeah.
I think based on a lot of the feedback we've seen from the community, that Warlords, Draenor type system, that seems what people want, and that's what we're aiming for. So that's kind of what we're going to be targeting. We have PvP item level and PvE item level, and our plan is to basically do like 2 tiers of PvP item level.
Okay.
Get your honor gear, you buy the honor gear, and you can get up to a certain point. Let's just call it like 113.
Sure. Yeah. Just random level.
And then you buy conquest gear, and that would be like 126. So and it would always be that high PvP item level,
right.
And it would be something probably around like heroic, or it would go up to like heroic, and for honor gear, and like conquest would go up to like mythic. And so, people might be able to bring mythic gear in because, they've done their content and it's still pretty good in PvP.
Yeah.
But, we've done things with like trinket set bonuses, PvP set bonuses, that to try and discourage a lot of the items that come from raids that are problematic, particularly trinkets.
Yeah.
And then other cantrip items. I'm not really bothered, to be honest with you, if like some cantrip item sneaks into PvP. Like, I think it's okay for you to go out and you're a really intense player of this game and you want to go find 1 or 2 items from a raid or from a Mythic Plus and bring them into PvP and they're good. I think that's okay. I think it's a world game.
Yep.
It's RPG PvP. Go out, get those things, make yourself better. I think when we're talking about like, go get everything from somewhere that's not PvP, that's a big problem. And actually even get the majority of your stuff from not PvP.
Right. I mean, what you just described probably is a situation where, like, if people only want to do PvP, that's the only thing that they log into and acquire their gear from, a full set of PvP gear is going to be very competitive.
Yes.
Even if you're like, okay, there's this one trinket from this one boss that if you get it at Mythic eye level is kind of cool. Like, because I remember that was, like, Kata had, like, legendary items, and like some of the trinkets in Kata were really cool, and I mean that's been a thing throughout the course of the game. But yeah, there have been times where it was like a little heavier to get a lot of really good stuff from PvE, and it sounds like what you're describing right now is as we move forward, it might be a situation where if you want to only do PvP, you're going to be like very competitively geared, and even if you only do PvP to cap your character, you might get a little bit less conquest, but the actual eye level that you have on your gear is going to be the same as somebody who's playing at like Gladiator rank 1 level.
Right. Yep.
Gotcha.
You put it right. The way you put it is, if somebody wants to just be doing PvP, they're going to get an excellent set of gear for PvP. Arguably the best.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I feel like if we're talking arguably, where somebody is like, yeah, that's good, but this one item has benefits. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Maybe that's a choice that you make, and I think that's okay. But it's when it doesn't feel like that's a choice that I think is a problem. So
yeah,
the only thing I want to clarify is there may be a question of like, well, can you just do that in Season 4 and why wait? I think if you can go to a vendor and just spend honor gear and get heroic item level, like that's not something we can just let you run around in war mode with. Like and same with conquest. Like now you have mythic
Yeah.
gear and you're just running out in the outside world, and so that's why that change of PvP item level, PvP item level currently works in the outside world,
Yeah.
and our plan is for it to not.
Right.
And then upgrades are still going to exist. So
Okay.
if you're a gladiator level player, you can upgrade your gear with honor, and it will upgrade your PvE item level
Okay,
only.
that's pretty cool. I mean, because
Yeah.
being able to spend a lot of time in the game and progress in whatever you like the most, and then be able to take a portion of that power into other elements of the game does feel pretty good. Instead of being like, wow, I mean, like I've got the best PvP gear in the game, but I'm like Mythic 0 eye level to go and to
Right.
do Mythic. That's kind of weird. But if you can take some of the strength that you've gotten,
Yeah.
yeah,
You should be able to. I mean, if you're a gladiator level player, you're an elite, player, you should be able to take some of that gear into the raids.
yeah,
That
and
should be
do
fine.
okay. Like maybe like
Yeah.
the stats won't be perfect and the eye level won't be as high, but you can still like
Yeah, like I know
contribute.
the badge trinket is really good for a lot of specs with like 1 minute cooldowns.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
Yeah.
so they go out to get that, and it's cool that they want to be a 2400 rated player or whatever to bring that up as max item level, bring it to the raids. I think that's
Yeah.
a good situation.
Yeah, because usually it feels like people get pulled into PvE to get like the strong stuff, and I guess that could move us a little bit into the next thing where like tier sets right now are like a big deal.
Mhm.
The creation catalyst just got put in, so you're able to like kind of get your tier set if you've been unlucky or if you're like late to the game or whatever. You mentioned that PvP set bonuses are one of those things that you guys have tried in the past to sort of really make PvP gear more valuable than PvE gear for PvP. Is that the kind of thing that might return now that we're seeing tier sets in PvE? Would there be any kind of bonus for PvP gear as well?
Well, the trinket set bonus will definitely stick around,
Okay.
and we're really happy with the implementation we have now, where it gives a fixed amount of primary stat and stamina, because that really just lets us
Right.
tune the game holistically in terms of damage and sustain. But PvP set bonuses we'll have to think a bit about. One of the challenges of PvP set bonuses is it's not great to change them.
Yeah.
From season
People
to
get
season.
used to
Yes.
having like
Yes.
more crit on your mortal strike after you charge, something like that, right? They kind of factor into their gameplay a bit.
And it's like if we don't come up with a better one, or like could be messing with
Yeah.
the balance a lot in that respect.
Right.
So I'm a little wary of that. But then again, if we're doing set bonuses elsewhere, we have to come up with ones that are competitive. So I don't have anything definitive to say
Sure.
on that right now, except that we know class sets and set bonuses are going to exist, and so we just kind of have to discuss is the current situation, is it tenable? Like, can it work where we're creating one universal set bonus that is throughout the game?
Right, yeah.
Or do we have to go back to a world with separate PvE and PvP set bonuses? There's a certain advantage to the PvP set bonuses where
Sometimes they're just cool. It's like
they're cool,
yeah.
and they make the PvP gear special in a special way. But it's also so often the case that a PvE set bonus will also be very good.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could even have a situation where it's like, I mean, I don't want to like making specific suggestions. I guess that's not what this is about. But like, you could eventually, like, if you got your 4-piece PvP gear, you could get like another honor talent selection option, and then that's
Right.
like, that's everybody can do that. It kind of is class specific, but it's not necessarily like you guys are deciding what the set bonus is. Something like that
Sure.
could be kind of cool.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I just think I want to make sure that everybody, that we create something cool for people, and
Yeah.
that is a cool idea.
For sure. So how are we looking for like cross faction stuff for PvP? How does that affect PvP? Because that's coming to 9.2.5, right?
Yes, our plan is to support cross faction play in rated PvP content, any pre-made PvP content. So if you want to get into an arena with Horde and Alliance players, that's the plan. If you want to do it with RBGs, that's the plan. Basically, you're electing into that, and so it's cool. Random battlegrounds, skirmishes. Our plan is still to keep that faction divide for the time being. But when we think about solo shuffle, especially rated, I think that's something down the line we definitely want to combine. I don't think there's anything more fantasy forward than the idea of you are just thrown in the arena.
Yeah, you're literally just a gladiator. You're just an
Yeah.
arena mercenary. There's no allegiance. It's just kill
Yes.
in the arena. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that makes total sense. We've always thought that makes a lot of sense.
That's cool.
So
yeah.
I think that'll be really great for the game. I've long held that I think the faction imbalance is more due to the social challenges that the teams have, and so it'll be great to see what people go out and do with those choices.
So once that happens, I would imagine there's not going to be separate ladders for Alliance and Horde. It'll be one ladder probably.
Not right out the gate.
Okay.
I think there is value in those separate rewards being there for trying to keep people available on both sides. And
Gotcha.
I right out the gate don't want to step back from that, because if we feel like we need it, it would be bad to put it back on. So for the time being, we're going to keep those rewards separate, and just to try and make sure that we can maintain some parity on the two sides. But if we feel like down the road it's not necessary, then we can do away with it.
Okay, cool. So I'm really excited about the talent tree changes that I've seen overall. Is that something that we can expect to create like spec diversity for PvP? And I guess the second question is, like, in your experience with it so far, like, how many different specialization options do you see, like, being for specific situations or whatnot? Like, how are we going to use that?
Yeah, I think PvP is very unique in the game because it makes use of class utility probably more than any other part of the game, right? Like you use buttons in PvP that some players may not even have on their bars often at times. So I think what we're going to see is that the class section of the tree is going to be really interesting from a PvP perspective. Like maybe you have to give up a big defensive cooldown to go get an interrupt on a resto druid or something like that, and you can be more aggressive, and now you can get that interrupt, but what did it cost you? It might cost you something you've become very used to having. So I do think it will be interesting. And I think it'll just change things on its head a lot. As we go into 10.0, we're not like Arena specifically is so much of class play that anytime we make huge changes to classes, the game is just the tables have been flipped, right? And so I think the game will be very different out of the gate. And then our plan is down the line to take a look at honor talents again and try and freshen them up in like a .1 patch.
Very cool.
Because that is the sort of thing that, like, okay, the new expansion is out, the meta feels very different and changed. Everybody learns that in the opening kind of season, and then the next season we try to offer up some freshness.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand it correctly, will there likely be new honor talent selections out the gate, and then you change them after, or should we expect the honor talents to be similar until 0.1?
I think you should expect them to be similar at the expansion. Honestly, what happens is we look at some of the honor talents, and some of the class designers will be like, "Can I steal this honor talent?" And
yes, please do. Yes, give us more baseline.
Yes, so that happens quite a deal. Yeah, I want to address that because it does come up a lot. And I
please
think
do.
one of the concerns I always have about adding more honor talents baseline is just that's the potential for 4 new buttons to be on the bar, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
You had to kind of like step back from adding a whole lot every single expansion because things got a little wild. But
exactly, and even 3 is a lot, and that is the main reason to just be like, I have 4 new buttons once I walk into this arena. That's a lot, and so we're going to always try to keep it to 3, but totally understand the critique that I only get to pick 1 or 2 because these are lock-ins.
Yeah,
and
that's big.
We constantly try to address that.
Yeah, I mean, I just know for Warrior, like certain things are like Sharpened Blade is like, man, like that's what makes Arms Warrior. Like now a lot of classes have a healing reduction. That's kind of like a standard thing, but having that Arms Warrior be able to really like put some serious pressure out, like that feels very Arms Warrior. So things like that being locked in would be pretty cool. But yeah, makes sense. I feel like we've been talking a lot about solo queue. We've been talking about it a lot from the perspective of Arena. I feel like an implementation of solo queue that'd be really cool is rated battlegrounds. I haven't really heard a lot about RBGs. I feel like that was another. I get the feeling that sometimes these brawls are like just testing for like different types of content. So, like a solo queue like 6v6 RBG sounds like a really cool idea. And is that something that you guys have put any thought into when it comes to a solo queue environment for PvP?
So I do think there's a lot of value for RBGs. I do think if we did it, I would, very similar to solo shuffle, I would want to do some type of situation where it's a little bit different. It's probably solo only, not like me and another
me and my
person
healer buddy, me and my tank,
and then we shuffle this like we do the Tetris or whatnot. I think it would it'd be the 10-man pre-mades or the solos only.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see the value there, and I think it's something we'd like to do down the line. I don't have any. It's certainly not something we're going to be doing at expansion launch, but something I'd like to do. 6v6 is a situation where, you know, we've played it on the existing maps. I think it's a little short. I think we need new, fresh content specifically made for 6v6 or 5v5 or some smaller format. But yeah, really like the idea. Been trying to grow the team to be able to take action on a lot of these ideas, and I think
Cool.
we're getting to a place where we can. So nothing to promise yet.
That's
And
fine, yeah.
I think I've said the same thing a couple years ago too. So it's been
Yeah,
on my mind a lot.
It's just cool to sort of see like what's percolating. I know you can't say everything, but no, it's just neat to see like what you guys feel about what you've done and where that leads us next. And I feel like you kind of like lightly hinted on it. We've seen like a couple of really cool new arena maps, like ones that we actually have access to now, and there's one that I've seen maybe on like Wowhead or something where like the pillars can change depending on like what you stand on. Are there, so the new arenas are bumping. Are we going to see new battlegrounds in the works too?
Nothing to announce at launch of 10, unfortunately, but yes, that is something we want to continue to work towards, is new battlegrounds. Battlegrounds are something that I think when it fits better when we have the thematics of the expansion kind of in them. One thing we're trying to focus on is how to make war mode PvP. You know, come up with some new content specifically.
Yeah, I was going to ask
that.
about the World PvP next, actually.
Yes, yeah, that's, you know, we're trying to focus especially for launch on war mode PvP.
Awesome.
And building some systems that encourage players to, you know, go out and fight in the outdoor world. War mode PvP is always this like, it's a careful balance between like trying to incentivize people to do it, but then also not incentivizing people to just grind, you know, flight points.
Or like run around with like the roaming 40-man hordes that just like wipe through the zones. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You
right.
know? And you know, there are people who, you know, love organizing large PvP groups. There have been for I meet them at BlizzCon every year.
Yep.
They love that part of the game and they want more content for it, and we haven't really done as much as we can for them. So want to spend time for the expansion launch on and building better stuff.
Yeah, just from my own experience, I feel like with BFA for whatever reason that was like the most world PvP that we had, because we had like a variety of weekly quests to do and had specific things for specific rewards in different places, and that ended up feeling like a blast. So I think like quests are usually like a fairly good incentive to just get out there and scrap. It was really fun to group with people from the stream or friends or whatever and just like have like your skirmishes, which is I think that's probably like one of the ways that world PvP feels the best, is like the large scale stuff is epic, but sometimes that small scale stuff where like really funny things happen, like somebody jumps off a cliff to escape and you glide after him and you have like a glider fight. That's pretty cool too. Speaking of glider fights, this was kind of a meme question, but I actually am very curious. How does Dragonflight play into world PvP? Is that going to be something that we're going to be like seeing? Like somebody's going to be like dive bombing in on somebody from the heights? I mean, that's kind of interesting, because flying has usually to me been like a man, like this is a massive world PvP like deterrent actually. But now Dragonflying is so cool. Like.
Yeah, I don't know that we have it all figured out, but I think there, you know, are some great opportunities there for dragon riding. You know, people swooping down on you. You know, a pack of like 5 dragons just coming down.
Because that happens anyway. But
absolutely. So, I mean, it's going to be happening a whole lot earlier in the expansion, right? Because people are going to be on these dragons almost right from the get-go.
Right. So, there's no like do this quest line that unlocks after a while, and then it's like you get your world PvP going, and then flying comes, and you're like, oh, okay, now things are going to be a little different. Yeah.
Different. Yeah. So I think it'll be, you know, it is increased locomotion. It's going to be, you know, pretty wild to see what people do and the assaults that they go. But right now there's nothing like that's just another example. Like world PvP, it's like you just want to set up the environment for it to happen and then get out of the way. Yeah,
just let it. Yeah, I think that's probably like the right way to do it. Make like a fun environment for PvP. Give just a little incentive, and then just let people just goof around and like, because that's a fun place to like. If arena is going to be one of those places where the gear is not necessarily normalized at this point, but the way that we've been talking about it is it's like it's a fairly static eye level. Everybody's kind of on the same page. Go nuts. With World PvP, you get to use all your wacky PvE trinkets and all your wacky like toys and stuff, and that's like a fun place for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Equip 300 corruption and try to one-shot people with that. Like, that's good stuff too. So we are picking Dragonflight alignments in this, right?
No, there are factions in the that throughout the zones, but they're not like covenants. It's not like you're picking one and you're like, I'm this aspect, I'm green aspect. Or it's not like that so much.
Don't have to worry about that. Okay.
No. There are factions, and they have their own kind of like progression tracks that are a little bit about like renown, but they don't have power associate them like soul binds and conduits. They have a lot of more unlocking different content, things you could see like in Sereth Mortis that people really enjoyed doing to enrich their outdoor world
Okay,
experience,
cool.
and possibly for world PvP.
Yeah, that'd be fun too. If you
Yeah.
like if you get enough rep that you can talk to a vendor and they'll give you a buff, like, hey, go nuts, you do 10% more damage for 5 minutes. Everybody goes around and gets their buffs and charges, and that can be
Goes
pretty
and
fun.
fights.
Yeah, so I feel like there's one more question. We have just a little bit more time left. I would like to talk about PvP incentives a little bit, because I think that everything we've been talking about with Arena and Battlegrounds and now even World PvP, I think one thing that really brings people in are these PvP incentives, because the people who like love PvP, just want to log in, do Arena all the time, those guys are probably going to be happy as long as the PvP is fun, and they feel like they can be competitive. But other people who are like not so sure, might need a little bit more effort to be brought in. And I guess for the people who like to grind PvP all the time, it's nice to get rewards. Because I actually like it a lot. We talked about it a second, talking about the gearing, where people from PvE are like, yo, I'm actually going to have to do PvP a little bit to get this one burst trinket that I want. And I feel like when PvEers get brought into PvP, even if the PvEers are not necessarily at like the tip top, the influx of PvP participation just helps the whole ladder so much. And when we see like good incentives for PvEers to come into PvP, like sometimes they have fun, but also that's like a really healthy season a lot of the time too. So what are we looking at in terms of incentives moving into Dragonflight?
Yeah, so we have the things that are standard in terms of like we have the vicious mount every every season, and that's like tries to incentivize, and that is pretty effective. I know every time we post that internally, like this is the vicious mount for the season, I get Slack messages that are just like, I got a PvP, and
yes, you do. Yeah, come on into the meat grinder.
that is always returns to be effective. But I think to your point, like if you're like, I want to go do PvP to get this trinket or this weapon, but now the weapon is very good in PvP right off the bat, and you're just kind of sticking around to increase the item level. Like I feel like that has the added edge of making it a lot more accessible, because because maybe you want to get that weapon or you want to get that trinket. I'm actually doing that with a weapon right now, where it's just like, hey, this is a great opportunity to just get this particular piece, a very specific piece. That I want, and I can do it from PvP, and I just need to hit a certain rating threshold. And for what it's worth, I think the rating thresholds they're pretty generous in terms of high item level requirements, and so it doesn't take too much for people to get their item level up. But we're always looking for other options. Obviously we have a lot of standard things, like we said, the mounts, we have the appearances, we have illusions, those types of things that the PvP system and the rewards that we give it are actually a decent model that we're trying to mimic throughout the rest of the game. So
awesome. Yeah, I mean, even things like we get like the PvP weekly quests, like, hey, do these skirmishes, or hey, do these battlegrounds. For me at least, like that does kind of influence my behavior. Like, maybe I will do a couple battlegrounds with my viewers today, or like it's like, okay, I've queued and gotten like 6 arena wins. What if I get like 4 more just for that quest? If those are like even like dailies, like that could give you, I'm not sure if there's gonna be like an AP type resource, but even just getting just a little extra for completing like a daily quest, for me at least, that usually feels pretty fun and might keep me queuing just a little bit longer, just to know that you're getting that just a little extra something out of it. So that could be honor, or I mean, like honor would be great, but that could be whatever. So it'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Some cash money. All right, so we are at 4:01, and I know that you have a bunch of interviews today. Thank you so much for your time. This is like a really cool opportunity for me. It's great to see you too.
Yes. I hope Jen and Archer are doing well.
Yeah, next time I have to do it in the gym.
Absolutely, I think that would be fun. I've gotten a lot of tweets, a lot of feel-good tweets.
Looking pretty swole Linka these days, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, great job with the announcements. This is all looking fantastic. Thank you once again for your time, and I'm sure you have more interviews to get to. So we'll let you roll out. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, that was pretty fun, huh? That was pretty fun. Swole Linka, dude, my man. Yeah, so
recording stopped.
They are bumping today, as you guys might be able to expect. They are like doing interviews all right and left, and so I really don't want to take too much of his time, but he's a cool dude. I like him a lot. We've had the opportunity to hang out with him here and then at conventions and different events, and it's always a good time. He's a real chill dude. So make sure you guys show him some love at Holinka on Twitter. Go tell him how swole he's looking. Hope you guys liked the interview. I was not reading chat during it because I just wanted to attend to what we were working on. But hopefully we got some of your questions answered. Just some of the things that I had on my own list, and hopefully some of the things that, even though I was joking with you guys that I wasn't just gonna tell Holinka to bring back Deep Freeze, I do want to attend to some of the things that you guys are talking about. So. Yeah, well, Lances, would you mind highlighting that for me? I'll probably post it on YouTube like this afternoon. Recording stopped. Yeah, I wasn't locally recording. That was for them. They were recording on Zoom. Yeah, hopefully the questions were okay. Hopefully you guys got some good information. I think we got some cool stuff, right? Like gear is gonna be like a little more like normalized, which is cool. It sounds like the trajectory of solo queue is trying to have it be rated eventually. That's pretty cool. There's a quick one. Yeah, I mean, once again, like, the fact that we got 30 minutes with Holinka on an expansion reveal day is kind of a big deal. They were very kind to lend us their time as a PvP community. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We even talked about BGs and war mode. I like that kind of stuff too.
You did so good.
Thanks. You got a lot of sense. Yeah, Holinka, he's experienced.
I had to take Samson outside.
He knows what's up. He knows how this works.
That was exciting.
Hey, Brian, Holinka game designer. Let me fix this real quick. There we go.
That's me.
That's me. Yeah, the video set good. I'm glad you guys liked it.
Oh, that was so cool.
I definitely want to do right by my PvP community homies. Yeah. Thought he had left WoW? No. I think he took a small break. He was still
he was still there.
He was still with Blizzard. I think he was just working a little bit more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is cool. Thanks, Trilly. Appreciate it, man. Getting WOD gearing. That's what it sounds like, man. Just to sort of review some of the things we've heard about. That's what I was talking about. That was like one of the big things. Yeah, that's one of the big things. Is that, yeah, it sounds like WOD gearing is kind of the idea. You're gonna have two different types of gear. You're gonna have honor gear and you're gonna have conquest gear. The eye level upgrades in PvP, you can still kind of use it in PvE, and it's fine. Yeah, that's big, huh? We should try full normalization. You know, I'm not against it necessarily, because I think it would make people really easy to get into it. I, as a player, do prefer to get my character stronger. I like that. I like the feeling of progression. I'm really into that in games, so. And Holy Force, thank you so much. I'm gonna hit you with flex for that one. Appreciate it. And Linksy, thank you so much for the Linksy sub. Linksy, thank you so much for that opportunity.
That was so cool.
I hope we did all right. I feel like it was pretty good. It was good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, the straight normalization of Legion wasn't my favorite, but I wanted to ask about it because I think that was like one of the big, like, this is one like big change, right? So, but if they're going back to the WoD style, I feel like that's like one that's kind of something that people have liked.
You really liked it.
We also have upgrades on PvP gear, like base level upgrade. It didn't sound like it. That's not what it sounded like to me. It sounded like you're gonna have honor gear that you just buy. That's your piece of gear, and then you eventually get conquest gear that is just a static eye level. That's what it sounded like to me. Now he did mention that there were some things that he thought were cool, like continue to do PvP and upgrading items. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that, I think that was within the context of something he said he was working on. I don't know if that's for the next expansion for this one. Except thanks so much, man, and Courtney, thanks so much for the Prime, guys. Appreciate it.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I like progression, but I also can sympathize with just wanting to be able to log into a game in PvP. Because like with WoW, I don't mind the grind. With a lot of other games that I don't play as much, like for example, like New World. Like, I haven't played New World in a little bit, but I'm excited for Arena. I would like to be able to go back and play immediately. Or like Blade and Soul.
Right.
Like another game that I've played in the past and I've really liked the Arena. I'm so far behind in that game, it's like, it's going to take me a while to grind to even be able to do Arena at all. But being able to just get right into it and play would be cool. So I feel like it's going to be like a little bit of, there's got to be like a balance there. I feel like with World of Warcraft, as I've heard it described, I think that progression is kind of something that they tend to like. But it sounds like they're taking they're dialing it back quite a bit, right? So you at least have to log in and get your conquests for the week, basically, right? Yeah, progression is good, but it must not be locked behind rating. It didn't sound like it was. When I sort of reiterated, it sounded like he agreed that the gear that someone who's just sort of getting started and buying a conquest piece, the eye level of that conquest piece will still be the same eye level as someone who is playing at a rank 1 level. That was my understanding. He said PvE level is locked by rating though? I don't think so. Maybe I misheard. But it sounded like it was just going to be honor level and PvP level. Or sorry, honor level and conquest level. He said that with conquest items you can upgrade the PvE. Oh, right, you can upgrade the PvE eye level. Right, yeah, okay, yeah. Right, but that doesn't... It's PvE, you know, come on, who cares? Yeah. Yeah, you can upgrade the PvE eye level with rating, yeah. But we're not worried about that. We ain't worried about that. Yeah. You took a good example with BFA War Mode. I thought BFA World PvP was a blast. It was really fun. Because you had like different, you know, different areas to PvP in, and it gave you different rewards. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I especially with like playing Lost Ark recently, like I realized that my little brain is like, it likes just like rewards. Like I like daily quests if it gives me like stuff that increases my character's power. So like in BFA, you do those quests and you get like some AP out of it, right? Or you get like resources to go to your horrific visions and stuff. And that's cool. I mean, like doesn't really take much for me to be like, oh yeah, I'll go do that, I guess. Yeah, sure. You're freaking out. There's not enough content at launch with 4 zones. Thoughts? I mean, does it have arena? Does it have battlegrounds and arena? If so, that's enough content for me. But yeah. As someone's a busy career, not a time to let us play it. Yeah, this is huge. Yeah. I think it'd be good. I think it'd be good. Yeah. Oh, the bounties? Yeah, the bounties were crazy fun. I should have mentioned the bounties. Yeah, I forgot about that for a second. Still no pre-order date? No, I don't believe so. So it's fine as if conquest gear is available fast or not upgradable. Right, I don't think it's going to be upgradable. I think it's just, you just buy it. Once you have enough conquests, you buy the item, and that's the best item that you need. Like, that's my understanding. Yeah, you guys like the interview? Good, I'm glad. How are we going to gear in 10.0, same system? Once again, my understanding is you have 2 different types of PvP gear. You have honor gear and you have conquest gear. That's it. It doesn't sound like you have to upgrade it at all. Yeah. You farm enough honor to buy your honor piece. You use that until you farm enough conquest to buy your conquest piece. The conquest piece for a 1400 player is going to be just as strong as somebody who's 3400. So it's like WoD. Is my understanding, and that it all could change. It could be different than we thought. It could all change. He talked about upgrading PvP gear. He talked about upgrading PvP gear for PvE. He talked about upgrading its PvE eye level. Right? But if it's like WoD, then it will have an item level for PvE, and then it will upgrade its eye level for PvP. And that's fine, right? That's fine. Okay. That was what I took from that. And once again, I could have misunderstood, and things could change, but that was my understanding. Right. Honor gear and conquest gear, same like static eye level, except for in PvP, PvE. That sounds like it'll go up in PvE. Did I ask about racial? I didn't ask about racials now. I did not. But are the issues with racials sort of fixed by cross faction queues, or no? It's like, no, if you play this class, you play orc. Like, is that what you mean? Well, the interview's not clipped, but it will be highlighted. So, yeah. Well, the PvP is good right now, but yeah. It's a like they went real in with the upgrade system. I don't really super mind it, but I feel like it could be, once again, my preferences as a player and as somebody who's played WoW for 10 years are different than somebody who's like new or doesn't have as much time to play. Like, I understand that. So if I'm like, yeah, I kind of like upgrading my gear, I think it's cool to get progressively strong over time. Like, that's cool, but at the same time, it does take a lot of honor, and not everybody likes that idea. And I think that overall, I don't mind having my preference not be what dictates the video game. I think the best thing for the video game is whatever gets the most people playing and having fun. So, and I think that my perspective definitely can change a little bit from playing different games recently. I've been playing other stuff and just goofing around and like trying PvP in different games, and it is nice to be able to just hop in PvP and not have to be like, you know, putting in a bunch of grind for the gear. Like, I know you guys have probably been seeing me play some Lost Ark recently. Like, Lost Ark, your PvE eye level, it is completely separate from PvP. You don't need PvP gear at all in that game. So I don't think WoW's going to go that direction, but it's like something like to think about, right? So, right, you just need templates straight up. It doesn't sound like that's what they're working on. I will tell you that you basically, if you just log in and play the game, if you just log in and capture conquest every week, you will get the full gear eventually. People who are higher rated might get it a little bit faster than you, but you will hit the template eventually. But for me personally, I like that feeling of like having like an alt, be like a little noob, and eventually you get gear on your alt and start to become a pumper. Like I actually kind of like that. But I don't know if that's what the best thing for the game is. So, yeah, not sure about that one. But yep, that was pretty cool though. It seems like we had some good chats, and you guys had some of the questions answered, and we got a couple things that were important. Only thing is that my webcam just decided that it was going to be a weird white balance. That's all.